This is Taiwan Insider, a weekly news roundup brought to you by Radio Taiwan International.
Every week, we give you an inside look at the biggest and most interesting stories coming out of Taiwan. I am Natalie So.
And I'm Andrew Ryan, and here's your Week in a Minute.
Taiwan has legalized same-sex marriage, becoming the first Asian nation to do so. A bill passed last week will allow marriages to begin on May 24th. Though not all transnational marriages are covered and adoptions remain an issue, the bill is a milestone for LGBT rights in Asia. Health Minister Chen Shih-chung is in Geneva, where the World Health Assembly is underway. Due to pressure from Beijing, Taiwan has not been invited, but Chen has led a Taiwanese delegation to show Taiwan's determination to take part. Taiwanese businesses in China are looking to return to Taiwan or move elsewhere as the U.S.-China trade war heats up. Analysts predict 2% economic growth for Taiwan this year as a result. That's the highest predicted growth for any of the four Asian tigers. Celebrated architect I.M. Pei has passed away at the age of 102. The Chinese-American architect is best known for his Louvre pyramid, but his legacy extends to Taiwan too. His 1963 Luce Chapel is a major landmark in the central city of Taichung. President Tsai marked her third year in office this week. She looked to the future, saying she wants to move the focus of Taiwan's industry towards advanced technologies like green energy and artificial intelligence. And that's your Week in a Minute.
Every week, at the top of our show, we each come up with a word that we think describes the week's news. Andrew, are you ready to guess my word?
Yes, I am. Let's see what you have.
Okey-dokey.
C. Christmas.
Christmas! It's not Christmas yet.
Culpable. Cult. Culture.
Culture. Okay, let me explain this.
Okay.
So, this week we saw Taiwan pass same-sex marriage legislation. And I think that has to do a lot with our open and democratic culture.
Ooh, good one.
I think that's why we're able to do that. We're also very warm and welcoming people. We'll also be talking about a cultural icon, I.M. Pei, and his work in Taiwan, the Luce Chapel. Also, our parting shot has to do with culture, but I won't tell too much about that one.
Yes, it does. That's right.
So,
all right, you ready for my word?
Yes.
All right. What do I have? Hope it's right side up.
Small word.
It is.
First in Asia.
That's right. That was an easy one this week because Taiwan, of course, was the first country in Asia to pass same-sex marriage legislation. You know, it is a small island, so superlatives are very important for us here in Taiwan for visibility's sake. We want to be seen by the world.
That's true, and the whole world was watching. Media around the globe was reporting on this.
That's right. You know, Taipei 101, the tallest building in the world, that was very exciting. But to have something like human rights that's been passed here, same-sex marriage legislation, I think that's very exciting as well. First in Asia.
Plus, do you know where this is?
Ooh, just a little hint there. Those hexagons were inspired by the shape of coral.
Pretty.
So where is this and what is it? We're going to have the answer for you today at the end of our show in our parting shot.
And now on to our top story. Last Friday, Taiwan became the first nation in Asia to pass same-sex marriage legislation. The ruling Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, had the votes to push it through the legislature. Let's take a look at this report.
Supporters of same-sex marriage gather outside the legislature on Friday in the pouring rain. Organizers put the number at 40,000 people. They're waiting to see whether lawmakers inside will vote to legalize same-sex marriage in Taiwan. Opponents of same-sex marriage try to stop the bill with legislation of their own that would downgrade marriage to a civil union or even a familial relationship. They point out that more than 7 million people voted against same-sex marriage in a referendum last year. But by 3:30 p.m. on Friday, lawmakers legalized same-sex marriage 66-27, making Taiwan the first country in Asia to do so. Outside, the crowd erupts in elation and tears. It's been a divisive 2 years since Taiwan's High Court said it was unconstitutional to prevent same-sex couples from having the right to marry, giving lawmakers a 2-year deadline to pass legislation. Organizer Jennifer Luce says it's regrettable that the bill does not cover foreigners from countries where same-sex marriage is not yet legal, and it does not offer full adoption rights. But President Tsai Ing-wen lauds the landmark legislation, saying it's a proud day for Taiwan, offering equal legal protection for all types of relationships and ensuring the fair and equal treatment of all.
All right, now that we've looked at how the legislation passed on Friday, we're going to rewind and see what it took to get us there. And that's the subject of today's Taiwan Explained. In today's Taiwan Explained, I'm going to tell you 5 things that you need to know about Taiwan's same-sex marriage legislation and how it got there. Now, every country in the world that has passed same-sex marriage has done it in a different way. It's taken a different path. Some have done it at the ballot box, others have done it in the legislature. Taiwan's path is totally different.
Okay, so you're going to explain Taiwan's path, right? How we got here.
That's right, absolutely.
All right, so you have 60 seconds on the clock. Are you ready?
I think so.
All righty. Ready, go.
Okay, although the main push for same-sex marriage in Taiwan only came about in the last decade, you can actually trace the beginnings back to 1958 when a lesbian couple tried to register to marry in Taipei. Now, this is Qi Jiawei. He's the first publicly gay person in Taiwan. He came out at a press conference in 1986. He tried to register to marry multiple times, but was rejected. Now, 41 years later, one of his appeals made it all the way to the Constitutional Court, which ruled in 2017 that the principles of equality and the freedom to marry guarantee same-sex couples the right to marry. The court gave lawmakers 2 years to pass legislation, at which point it would just automatically become legal. Now, the law is not complete. Not included are full adoption rights and the right to marry foreigners who come from countries where same-sex marriage is not legal. Save the date, Friday, May 24th, 2019. That's when same-sex marriage will be legal in Taiwan. A mass wedding is scheduled for here the following day in front of the presidential office building.
Good job! Right on the button. And that was a big topic.
That was a big topic.
Yes. And that is our Taiwan Explained for this week.
Now, to put a face on the issue of same-sex marriage, I want to introduce you to my friend Jennifer Luce. She's the chief coordinator of Marriage Equality Coalition Taiwan, which is the driving force behind Taiwan's push for same-sex marriage legislation. Now, she has been with the Taiwan Hotline Association, which is one of Taiwan's oldest LGBT NGOs. She's been there for about 15 years. Now, earlier today, she told me her story, and this is what she had to say. I kind of want to start at the beginning with you standing on stage.
Sure.
You're outside of the legislature.
Yes.
The rain has finally stopped.
Yeah, it was a huge rain. Oh my God.
And inside the legislature,
Yeah.
lawmakers have just passed the bill.
Yeah.
Now we have a little bit of footage of you standing on stage,
Oh,
and I want to
right.
play that for you now so you
Okay.
can see kind of what happened in a moment. Let's have a look at that clip.
好，我们现在要让邢姐说话，好不好？来，我们掌声欢迎回平人大平台的总召，也是我们同志咨询热线的工作人员吕欣杰。
谢谢大家，你们辛苦了，
谢谢，
谢谢欣姐，大家辛苦了。
And so
I was crying.
you were crying. I think a lot of people were crying that day. It was a very
Yeah.
emotional moment.
Yes.
What was going through your mind?
I was like, oh my God, it's finally become the reality. I actually thought about what's the scenario at that time, but after it became the reality, I feel like very emotional, of course. We have been working on that for so many years. And also, I think the most touching thing is there were like over thousands. I think there were like 35,000 people.
Wow.
And standing under the rain
Yeah.
for like a half of days, and they didn't want to leave the venue, the rally, and they want to stay with us and protect the bill inside the parliament. That is very, very, very powerful thing. Yeah.
And actually, you've been a very public face of this movement. You've shared
Yeah.
your story multiple times.
Yeah.
Has that been difficult for you and your wife to kind of be the public face of this movement?
Sometimes, yeah, and you know, being in public, use your own story. Sometimes put a lot of pressure on your like personal life.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but because my wife support that, she's also an activist. So we try our best to like get more people to understand our stories. But after a few times, we become more like we want more different example and different couples to be seen, because we don't want people feel like, oh, we are the only lesbian couple in Taiwan, which is not true, right?
Yeah. I know you actually have already had a wedding banquet.
Yeah.
Back in 2015,
yeah,
right?
it was a ceremony inviting our friends and family to join.
You had a very traditional kind of on the street in a big tent
Yes.
wedding, a
Yeah.
bando as we say.
Bando,
They moved
yeah.
the tables out.
Yeah, and the chefs even cook it just on the street.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow,
it's a
wow,
very
wow.
traditional Taiwanese style banquet.
Did you have a particular reason why you wanted to do a wedding like that?
A lot of people say LGBT culture is against Asian traditional culture, but we just want to prove that Asian culture and LGBT cultures, we can find a way to live in our country together. So I actually used the Taiwanese style wedding banquet. It was one of our strategy,
Yeah.
to let people understand, oh, this is what we can do, and we can also use our creativity to do more in the future.
Actually, I'm glad you touched on the Asian values part, because you actually had a piece in the Washington Post which came out on May 21st, 2019. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And the title was Taiwan's Same-Sex Marriage Law Could Change the Debate in Asia Forever. What can other countries in Asia learn from Taiwan?
I think a lot of people, especially in Asia, they're arguing that traditional culture, like what I say, against LGBT concept. LGBT is like Western concept, it's not belong to Asia. But I think Taiwan set up a very good example that we can and we need to find a way to live coexisted. And also because we are all Taiwanese, we don't want to be excluded from our own country, from the mainstream society. So I think other Asian countries can use Taiwan as an example and find their own way to communicate with their own traditional culture and society.
What country do you think will come next in Asia to pass same-sex marriage legislation?
According to my observation, I think Japan and South Korea. South Korea actually a little bit difficult because they have like much stronger opposition compared with Taiwan. They had a really, really conservative Christian community there. But Japan, we are so looking forward to them because they just launched a constitutional court lawsuit, I think a few weeks ago.
Wow.
And we have the similar culture and the similar the society atmosphere. So I'm personally, I feel like Japan can have more opportunity in the future. But of course, a lot of people think Thailand might be the next possible country.
That was Jennifer Liu, the Chief Coordinator of the Marriage Equality Coalition Taiwan. For the full interview, keep an eye out on our Taiwan Insider Facebook page. But next, our segment, Taiwan by Number. Now, every week in Taiwan by Number, we introduce a facet of Taiwan via a number. And I'm going to ask you a question. This is actually quite easy.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Ian Bay is a celebrated architect of the 20th century. He recently passed away this past week. And he designed a church in Taiwan.
Okay.
Do you know how many churches he designed in his lifetime?
Wow. Okay. Not what I thought you were going to ask. I thought you were going to ask me about the church.
How many glasses, panes were in there or something?
How many churches did he design in his lifetime? I don't know, 10?
10. Okay, we'll see. But let's take a look at the Luce Memorial Chapel in this report. Young Ian Bay, with his signature round glasses on the left, was the architect along with Chen Qi-kwan. Bei became one of the most celebrated architects of the 20th century. His signature use of natural light to illuminate and beautify a building is also seen in the skyline and facade of the Luce Chapel. Architecture professor Cho Hao-shou says the light symbolizes the relationship between God and nature. The church is a great work of imagery and architectural style. The chapel was donated by Henry R. Luce, the founder of Time and Life magazines, as a way to honor his father, Reverend Henry W. Luce, and continue his missionary work. Bei considered using wood, brick, and steel before deciding on reinforced concrete for the walls of the church. A Tunghai University student says the church is a source of great pride and a symbol of the university. The chapel was the first example of modernist architecture in Taiwan and was the only church Bei designed. Some say its walls flow gracefully like a tent or a pair of praying hands. It is a National Historic Site and was selected by the Getty Foundation as one of the world's top 10 significant 20th century buildings.
Wow.
Beautiful work, isn't it?
Absolutely beautiful. And some beautiful shots in there, too.
Yeah, so I asked you how many churches he designed in his lifetime. Let's take a look. You were a little bit off, but
I was only off by a zero, right? Missing a zero.
you would think that he designed a lot of churches.
You would think
But
so.
we have the only one that he designed right here in Taiwan.
Wow.
And it's beautiful.
Absolutely
So, but I'm going to quiz you on more about Bei. I love to quiz Andrew. It's a lot of fun.
I love to be quizzed by Emily.
So I'm going to present you a work and the city, and you tell me what the work is, okay?
Okay.
So
All right.
this first one was in Boston. Is in Boston.
Okay.
Do you know what it is?
You're telling me I have to tell you what the... This is terrible because actually, we go to Boston all the time. My brother lives there. I have no idea what it is. It looks like a mega church to me.
It's beautiful. It's not a church, though.
Can I make a guess?
Yeah, you're supposed to guess.
I think it's going to be at a university.
No, it's not
MIT
at a university.
No?
No. It's the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library and Museum.
Wow.
And he
Okay.
got this job a year after the Luce Memorial Chapel. And Jackie Kennedy was talking to a lot of very famous architects. He wasn't that famous at the time, but he chose him for a couple of reasons. One was that she said he has a way to make all his projects beautiful. And two, she felt a personal connection to him. She said he was so full of promise like Jack. They were born in the same year.
And of course, John F. Kennedy would have passed away at this point.
Yeah, he had just passed away. And she said, I decided it would be fun to take a great leap with him. So I think he reminded her of him in some ways.
Wow.
So, and that really helped jumpstart his career and, his high profile.
He became famous after that.
Really.
Wow.
So let's take a look at another work.
Okay. I know this one.
This is in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. So this would be the, is it the HSBC building?
No, it was actually the rival to that.
Oh, no. Okay, so it's a bank. It's a bank.
Yeah.
It's a bank. The Bank of Hong Kong?
You just said that already. Actually, they were built a similar time, and they were rival works because, the Hong Kong bank, this is the Bank of China.
Okay, Bank of China. Okay.
And so the other one had much more budget.
Okay.
But he did a beautiful job on this one. But there was some controversy because he didn't consult feng shui masters. And it was the only major building that never consulted before the design was complete. And then the feng shui masters didn't like it.
Oh, no.
They said it had X's and sharp edges, which are all bad luck. And then so he changed it a little bit so it looked like it had diamonds instead of X's. But it was the tallest building outside the United States at the time, and it changed Hong Kong's skyline. Very beautiful.
Always check with feng shui masters
But
before you build.
yeah, he didn't. He wasn't into feng shui. Now, let's take a look at another work which was also controversial at the time.
I know that one. That's the Louvre
That's
in Paris.
right.
Yes.
And, Parisians didn't like it in the beginning. He said he got a lot of angry glances while he was walking on the streets of Paris. But after it was built, when people went in and they saw there was a lobby underneath that he redid, and the lighting, and it was really beautiful.
Is it supposed to look like an Egyptian temple?
No, one of the reasons that they didn't like it was because pyramids symbolize death in Egypt.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right. So
I guess wrong too.
yeah.
Yes.
But the majority ended up liking it. after it was completed and going in. So,
Alrighty.
all right, let's take a look at another one. This one is in Hsinchu. I don't know if you've passed by that before.
Natalie, isn't that like a big smokestack?
It is an incinerator.
And it's
Right. It was done by his team. I don't know if it was done by him personally.
okay.
Okay. There's also one done in Bali, another incinerator. So we have a
Okay.
couple more works by his company.
Bali, as in the suburb of
New Taipei City,
New Taipei
yes.
City. Well, you know, I think that makes him human because if you're an architect, you have to have all kinds of cases. They can't all be masterpieces.
I'm not sure if that was, his personal drawing or his team, whatever.
Right.
But anyways, one of his works. And let's take a look at the last big work of his career.
Oh, wow.
That's in Suzhou.
That does look like Suzhou. I'm going to say it's the Suzhou Museum.
That's right.
Oh, really?
Very good, Andrew!
Totally made that up. Totally
Very
made
simple
that
name. So it was completed when he was 89 years old.
Oh, wow.
And he used a lot of traditional Suzhou designs, such as lotus pond and streams surrounding the museum and gardens. He actually spent a lot of his childhood summers in Suzhou. So he has a personal connection to Suzhou.
Okay.
And you can see it was very beautiful. A lot of use of natural light and geometric shapes. So that's Iron Bay for you. Some of his works, there are a lot more, but just a few of them.
That's wonderful. I enjoyed that little walk through his works.
Yeah.
So up next, we're going to bring you a segment called #Taiwan.
This week on #Taiwan, we take a look at some of the most compelling tweets about same-sex marriage being legalized in Taiwan.
That's right. It was a huge issue that was covered not only by the local media, but also the international media. And on the morning of the vote in the legislature, President Tsai Ing-wen tweeted about it. Let's have a look at what she tweeted. So she says, good morning, #Taiwan. That's our segment name. Thank you. Today we have a chance to make history and show the world that progressive values can take root in East Asia society. Today we can show the world that #love wins.
So for President Tsai, speaking out actually was a political risk because the majority of Taiwan in a referendum voted against same-sex marriage. And elections are coming up, but this will definitely be a legacy for her term.
That's right. Now, after the law passed, Taiwan's first transgender cabinet minister tweeted about it. Of course, that cabinet minister is Audrey Tang. Let's have a look at what she said. So, what a way to celebrate International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia. On May 17th, the legislature voted to legalize #Marriage Equality, making #Taiwan the first country in #Asia to do so. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and dreams really do come true.
The global media also covered the news. This tweet by ABC News in the US got over 60,000 views. It said, Taiwan erupts in celebration at a landmark vote legalizing same-sex marriage, making it the first Asian nation to do so. And some global media struggled whether to call Taiwan a nation. The Guardian on Instagram called Taiwan a nation, but then issued a correction saying that it was a state. And a lot of people criticized the Guardian for doing so.
Now, the global media coverage was so positive that China wanted in on the action. And as you can see from this tweet in China Daily, which is a government mouthpiece, they said local lawmakers in #Taiwan, China have legalized same-sex marriage in a first for Asia, according to local media reports.
Now, Taiwan's Foreign Minister Joseph Wu would not let China take any credit for this law. Let's look at what he tweeted. He said, wrong, the bill was passed by our national parliament and will be signed by the president soon. Democratic #Taiwan is a country in itself and has nothing to do with authoritarian #China at PD China is a commie brainwasher and it sucks JW. That means that he wrote the tweet himself.
Which is interesting because it actually sounds like maybe he had somebody else in charge
Someone
of it.
younger, maybe?
But we know if it says JW, it was probably
That's
him.
right.
Yeah.
So it looks like he put aside diplomacy for a while and said what he really thought, huh?
Okay, and that's it for today's #Taiwan. Be sure to follow us on social media and let us know if you have any story tips. Now, at the top of the show today, we showed you a photo and we asked you if you knew where it was. Let's once more take a look at that photo. All right, so we mentioned that this has hexagonal shapes that were inspired by coral, so you can probably guess it's somewhere near the ocean. For the answer, we now go into today's parting shot. All right, so this is the Kaohsiung Maritime Cultural and Pop Music Center. It's located right at the spot where the Love River empties into Kaohsiung Harbor. Coral was not the only inspiration for the building's design. Many of the features are a nod to the ocean and its creatures. And those irregular lines you can see there have made it incredibly difficult to build.
The $200 million building is slated for completion in August 2020. It will include an outdoor performance venue that seats 12,000, an indoor theater that seats 6,000, and at least 6 other small spaces. It will also feature a dock, bike paths, and exhibition halls dedicated to marine culture and pop music.
So it's beautiful, isn't it?
It is. I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. So be sure to follow us on social media and connect with us in all different places. Email, we've got all the information for you on the screen.
Yes, and do leave a comment. We would love to hear from you. For Taiwan Insider, I'm Natalie So.
And I'm Andrew Ryan. See you next week.